For analysis, Mike Isaac is with us. He's the technology correspondent for the New York Times. Mike, Elon Musk today sort of cryptically connected free speech and law. Of course, Twitter's a global company. China has its rules. The British regulators already weighing in on this. I mean, is there an Elon fix here? Nobody else has found one.
I've talked to a lot of folks around this story, Shep, and they're basically saying his understanding of what, free speech means, at least on a global level, is pretty sophomoric and would have to flatten out a lot of laws around the world. In Germany, for instance, there are certain things you literally cannot tweet about legally in the country around Nazism and World War II. And so just sort of universalizing that experience of how Americans might treat First Amendment rules is much more complicated than just saying anything goes, basically.
And you got to figure he knows that. I mean, he's a brilliant guy. He also knows that plays well to a certain segment of the population, which makes you wonder, what's really going on here? I mean, what is he really about to do?
Yeah, no, you're totally right. I mean, I think he's already really riled up a lot of folks who are all for just sort of anything goes. And I was thinking about that earlier today. It feels like more of a feature than a bug in the sense that there's a lot of people who really want this. And I think if he can, under the, when it becomes a private company and if he can dismantle some of the policies that they have spent the last 5 years building up, perhaps it becomes a kind of playground for people who want anything, to be able to say anything online free of real consequences.
He does rockets and cars, too. Tesla's stock cratered today like 12%. I guess fears that Elon will be distracted, or what? How do you see this?
Or he's tweeting too much to keep an eye on the rockets. I think there's probably some concern around the leverage he's putting up against his own stock to buy the company, and so the company, Tesla, actually had pretty good earnings last week, but everyone's always got big question marks because they never know what he's going to do next, basically.
And then there's the workforce at Twitter. I mean, we've all seen it. A lot of them don't want to work for him, at least some of them. I mean, is he the guy who cuts them or starts over, or what does he do?
I think it's totally fair question. There are stories leaking out. We listened into an all-hands meeting yesterday where folks are really concerned. There's people who have spent the past 3-4 years building up a lot of policies around harassment online and bullying and hate speech who are worried that's going to just basically be undone overnight. So leadership hasn't really given any real guidance. They basically don't know what Elon wants to do, but I think people are polishing their resumes inside right now.
I know some of them are. Mike Isaac from the New York Times. Thank you, sir.